Excelente.
The only problem is I got bad lighting there.
No, you can't make her look bad. She's gonna look great in anything. Wish I could stay here, but unfortunately I have to go back to work. But it's just wonderful to be here, and this organization is really marvelous. Experience of a lifetime.
Hey, good evening, guys. My name is Bud. I'm here with you tonight for the next 60 minutes to answer your questions around international dating and marriage, cross-cultural relationships, how to create one, how to find that beautiful girl somewhere out there in the big old world that you can spend the rest of your one magical, happy, lovely life on earth with. Thanks for joining us tonight. You can ask your questions throughout our presentation. I've got a presentation on a topic for you, but it's a good one, actually. We're going to talk about how to prepare yourself for the inevitability that you're going to travel on a romance tour or a singles tour this year. 5 ways that you can prepare yourself for romance travel in 2019, and it's a good presentation that I got for you. Around that, we will look at some great video like we're watching now from our recent tours all over the world. Guys, throughout our 1-hour broadcast, we go, I mean, the video that we're showing you could be Ukraine, which is what we're looking at right now, could be Colombia, could be China, Thailand, Peru, Costa Rica, the Philippines. Those are all of the great locations that we offer you guys opportunities to go and meet very, very lonely but very spectacular single women all over the world. And as you're watching the video, I just want you to watch the men and the women interacting. It's my favorite part of what we do, is just watching the men and the women meet each other, and how wonderful and easy and relaxed and happy and full of magic and romance that is. It's a very distracting video you got tonight, Kirk. We're only like a minute into it. It's hard to pay attention. All right, pay attention, I said. That looks like Odessa. Nice. All right, so guys, as we're watching the video and you're listening to the presentation tonight, there's a green box above me that you can click. It's where you can text your questions to me, and I'll read them aloud for everybody, and I'll answer them for you and for everybody. You know, whenever you ask a question, you're not just asking it for yourself. You probably feel like that, and some of you hesitate to even ask your questions, but you should not hesitate to ask your questions, because I promise you, if you have this question, there are other people out there who have that question as well, and they want answers too. So think of the community and the brotherhood that we have here together, right? We're all exclusive to each other. Many of you know it's not always easy to just talk about this whole idea of international dating out there in the world, right? It's not always easy to tell your coworkers or your friends or your family about your intentions. Sometimes that idea is received really well. Sometimes people just give you a really hard time about that, right? You know what I'm talking about. But here, there's no shame, guys, right? There should be no shame anyway. International dating is a great, fun opportunity. There are a lot of lonely single people all over the world. You would not think twice about doing a singles tour if you decided you wanted to go and meet a lot of lovely single women, right? And your friends and coworkers and family would say, good for you, a singles tour. Oh my goodness, that sounds like so much fun. And away you'd go on your singles tour, your singles cruise, right? People do singles cruises all the time. What happens on a singles cruise? You travel, you meet singles, play games, you have fun, you do fun stuff, and you meet people, right? Go out on dates and romances happen. And really what we do, our singles programs, our romance tours, if you will, are no different than a singles cruise, except there's not always a boat, and there's frequently no water. But other than that, it's just like a singles cruise. And we introduce lots and lots of people to each other. We're really happy to do that. We're proud of it. We have a lot of fun doing it. So yeah, we'll talk about that throughout the evening here, guys, because that's why I'm here. Text me your questions, green box right above me. My name is Bud. If you're joining me for the first time, we do this every Monday night at this time. We've been doing it every Monday at this time for years, man. For as long as I can remember. Those of you in my international audience, you know that I especially appreciate you, right? You know. Well, if you don't, let me just tell you. I do. All right, guys, look. We have a great opportunity for those of you who are looking for a way to meet large numbers of very, very beautiful women. Next week, we have our first romance tour to Barranquilla, Colombia in a long time. And if you've been thinking, I've talked to you guys all the time. I've talked to so many guys in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks alone. I know that there are a good number of you guys that are out there and you're on the fence. Barranquilla, Colombia is an incredibly sweet place. Very, very beautiful women in incredibly high numbers. It's a great, big, giant, modern city. And this will be our first tour to Barranquilla in probably 2 years. We have a great new regional manager down in South America. We're really proud of her. She's doing a great job for us in Colombia. We have so many lonely, beautiful women that have been hanging out with us in Barranquilla for a long time, and they got no guy. And here you are, a handsome, lonely guy with nobody in your life. So get on a plane, take a 3-hour trip to Barranquilla, Colombia, join the rest of us on this fabulous tour, and go find your girl next week. I'm also doing some live international dating seminars. These are free events, but we really like doing them. They are seminars, I promise you that. So when you make an RSVP for my seminar, you're coming to a seminar. You're going to learn a lot, get a lot of information. It's not marketing fluff. If you've ever been to one of my seminars, it's anything but marketing fluff. It's very, very candid information which honestly assesses and presents to you the realities, the challenges, and the exciting opportunities behind international dating. You know, what is it like to be single in America? It's lonely, right? There are a lot of lonely men in America, a lot of lonely people. And what options do we have if we're lonely? You know, there are dating apps. You can go out and join a dating site, a profile, a personal site, if you will. There are many men that do that with mixed results. If you're not finding what you're looking for, there's nothing wrong with expanding your search beyond the U.S. to other countries where there are many, 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 many very beautiful single women who are every bit as lonely as you are. And they're good women with good hearts. They're sophisticated and educated and alluring and interesting and capable and remarkable. They really are. They really are. They're amazing women to be admired. They just happen to be single and lonely, and there are cultural reasons why it's difficult for them to find a serious, romantic, marriage-minded, stable, sober, productive, emotionally balanced guy. And if that's you, my brother, you got to get on a plane and go get your girl. There's no point in being lonely. That's dumb. We don't need to be lonely. We're men, and loneliness sucks, and we're not here to be lonely. We're here to live our lives and give our love, right? We are. And we have to not settle for loneliness. So I do international dating seminars to present to you the opportunities and the realities of international dating. I'm doing one this Saturday in Salt Lake City from 11 to 3 at the La Quinta Inn out by the airport. Salt Lake City, Utah this Saturday. Los Angeles on the 16th, a week from this Saturday, I will be doing another seminar. Again at the Be the Holiday Inn Express out by the airport. John and Tanya, I believe Tanya Adams, John's wife, John our CEO, John Adams, I believe he and Tanya will be doing Orlando and Naples for you folks in the Southeast on March 30th and March 31st at the end of next month. And in April, we got a whole bunch of things going on for you. We've got Phoenix, we've got Boston and New York. We got a lot of seminars coming up. A lot of great opportunities for you guys to come out and meet us. Let us tell it to you straight, show you tons of video, break down the video, show you what's happening, good, reliable information. Our seminars are for good men with good hearts who are positive thinking men. You know, not all of you are. I think most of you are. I think most of you who have found me, you relate to my message, you understand it, you agree with it. Certainly a few of you don't, and that's okay. For whatever reason, we don't resonate, we don't click, and you don't like my message, guys, that's okay. That's absolutely okay, because what we do and what I do is definitely not for everybody. And if you're a and you feel you've got a lot to gripe about and a lot of axes to grind, I'm definitely not your guy, because I'm not. There are a lot of angry people on the internet. There are a lot of people who have had negative experiences in dating. Some of it's not their fault, some of it is. You know, every now and then I get a bunch of emails after every one of these webcasts from you guys just telling me how much you appreciate my being here, and that's great, because I really like being here for you, right? And for those few of you who write to me and we just don't agree on a lot of things, you know what? I'm sorry to say it. I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't care. I'm not here to entertain anybody. I'm definitely not here to entertain the negative, right? The world is too full of people with negative minds who like to bitch and complain, drive everybody crazy, and just create more angst and darkness. What we need here are men who lock arms together, who look at each other and see good men with positive attitudes and good values who should not be alone. We lock arms together and we go forward and create happiness and create love, because what else are we going to do with our 2019, lads? If you're lonely and you're sad, you spend a lot of time waking up and looking back, right? I talked about this last week. It's very, very typical for men to wake up and look behind at the last failed relationship, right? Or at the divorce, or whatever happened in this job, or whatever we did that we're not happy with. And of course, there are many positive things to look back on as well, but you know what I'm talking about, right? We wake up in the morning and we look back on things that are lonely and sad, especially if we're not in love and we want to be. What do? We look back on the last relationship or the one before it, and why they failed and what happened. typical behavior. What do we do about that? That is not going to change. That backward vision is not going to change. It's going to be our focus every day until we choose to change what we're looking at. And the easiest and best way to do that is to look ahead to what's next. By looking ahead to what's next, you begin to visualize the next relationship that's going to come in your life. Now, if you're sucked into the trap of virtual chat and virtual correspondence, and you're writing letters and you're chatting into oblivion, I just got an email from a guy who said, Bud, I've met a girl online, we're totally in love, we're going to get married, and he's crazy. He's absolutely crazy. I wish that were true. He met a girl online. You know, they haven't talked by phone. He doesn't know her last name. He doesn't really know much about her, but he's convinced himself that he's in love and he found a girl that he's going to marry. He doesn't have immediate plans to get on a plane and go and meet anybody. That is a trap. That is the trap everybody in this business wants you to fall into. That exact trap, right? Sit there, believe you're in love, believe you're happy, write letters into oblivion, chat until you empty your bank account. Just do that, right? Everybody in this business wants you to do that to some extent. I want you to get on a plane and go get your girl. I want you to have a real love experience that you're happy with, that fulfills you, that makes you the envy of your friends and your family and people around you. What a great story, right? What a brave, chivalrous, noble thing to do. You get up and you go out into the world and you find your girl, and you know there are going to be, complications. There always are. You know you have to deal with human beings and emotions in order to create that love story, but you're going to do it because you're a man and you can do it and you've got love to give. So yeah. International Dating Seminars this Saturday in Salt Lake City, Los Angeles on the 16th. Please RSVP bud@loveme.com if you're going to come, so I can make sure there's plenty of seating for you so nobody's left standing in the back or out in the hallway or out in the parking lot because you'll miss the information, which is life-defining. Bud@loveme.com so I can save you a spot, guys. Lunch will be provided. I promise it'll be fun. It's laid back. It's not high pressure. We're not going to lock you in a room and make you buy a timeshare or anything like that, all right? Look at our video. Isn't that great? What a pretty girl. Why is she alone? Get on a plane and go get that girl, somebody, will you please? Hey guys, green box right above me. You can text me your questions. Let me also get to where I can see your questions. I'll answer a few of them up front. And then I'm going to jump into 5 ways that you can prepare to get on a plane and go get your girl. Some guys will tell me, Bud, I'm all in, I'm ready, I want to go. Some guys know you're going to go this year, or you're going to go soon. You may not have the exact details lined out, but you want to go, and you know you want to go. So great, that's terrific. We want you to go. And while you're waiting to pack your bags, while you're waiting to be ready to get on the plane and go and meet somebody, there are some things that you should be doing to prepare yourself for your trip. And I will cover them for you in a little presentation that we have tonight and answer as many of your questions as I can. I know you got questions for me, guys. So let's have them. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Bud. I'm an international romance tour leader, consultant, dating coach, author, whatever you want to call it. I'm here to answer your questions based on 17 years of work in the international dating industry. How about that? All right. I'll get a few questions in. Give you a good presentation, get a few more in, okay? What is the best tour for African-American men? Asks John. John, I gotta tell you, you're gonna hate me. Go anywhere we go, dude. Just go. Just go. Seriously. What is the best tour? Honestly, we have, to some extent, we have gentlemen of color in every direction, and they do well, and you will do well. If you're a nice guy with a good heart, that's absolutely true. Hey, Bud, Derek says, are all the ladies at the socials members of a foreign affair, or are some locals invited too? We don't invite locals. The women that we invite to our social events all over the world, I would say 90% of the women in a social event are women that are from our database and have registered profiles. However, as you can imagine, Derek, sometimes we call a girl up and we say, hey, you were at our social event 6 months ago. Did you have a good time? Yes, I did. Would you like to come to the next one? Yes, I would. Can I bring my friend? Can I bring my colleague or my sister? I told them about this. They'd like to join as well. And we'll, of course, ask them, is she single? Yes, she is. Does she want to meet somebody? Sure, she does. Great. Then tell her to come. Tell her to bring an ID. We're going to need it. We're going to need some information from her. She'll need to fill out an application. We'll need to take some pictures. But other than that, if she's willing to join our site, put up a profile, sure, she can come and we'll let her in. Probably 10% of the women that you meet at any social will fit that description. The rest of them will have profiles registered at LoveMe. Greg says, hey, I'm 60 and just wondering if a 40-year-old woman or too young for me to be spending time on? You know, most of the time, no, I would say not, Greg. I mean, that definitely is probably the outer limits. If you're 60, I wouldn't go much younger than that. I think that, I think 40 and above, probably perfect for you, my friend. Most of the time, I could definitely say that's the case. All right. How about them Patriots? How about them? All right, anyway. Yeah, Tony from Australia. Ukraine tour looks amazing. What is the best way to get I'm sorry. What is the best way to get started? The best way to get started, Tony from Australia. Man, you guys remember, I was going to talk about Steve Irwin. Man, I saw some article about Steve Irwin and his kids. Wasn't he great? I miss him. He was one of a kind. All right, anyway. Tony from Australia, what is the best way to get started? You know what? It depends on how ready you are to meet somebody, Tony. Some men are ready to get on a plane and go and get in front of women and start dating and create courtship and romance. Some men are ready to do that, just like some men are ready to book a singles cruise, if you will. So if you feel you're ready to get out in front of women, dude, just do it. If you're not quite ready to get out in front of somebody, you certainly can begin by communicating with the women on our site. And you can do that in a number of ways. You can write them a letter, write a couple letters. Some guys will write a ton of letters, and I really caution against that, at least in the beginning. Write a handful of letters. Tell somebody that you're serious about meeting her. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then after a handful of letters, call her up. Next to every girl's profile on our site is a box that says, call me now. You can't call her now because there's a time difference. But you can order a translated phone call with any girl on our site. So you fill that form out and let us call her up and schedule a translated phone call for the two of you so the two of you can talk to each other. You can imagine, Tony, after you've exchanged 4 or 5 or 6 letters and then you call her up. Now you're talking to each other and you can hear each other's voices, in your letters going forward, how magical and romantic that is. I think that's a really good thing. And then follow that up by getting on a plane to go and meet somebody. Choose your tour, choose your program, choose when you can travel, and let's get you out in front of somebody as quickly as possible. I know that's expensive. It's not cheap. It's certainly not overpriced. Quite frankly, our travel programs are an incredibly good deal. They really are. But the reality is, guys, nothing you're doing, writing letters, chatting, whatever you're spending money on is going to be completely fruitless if you don't get on a plane and go and meet somebody. So, hey, let's just do it. Look at all these beautiful women that are waiting to meet you, gentlemen. Antoine says, if I'm 29, what percentage of women will be in the 25 to 28 range in Colombia versus Ukraine? I would say half the women in the room in Ukraine will be under the age of 30. Half the women will be over the age of 30, Antoine. In Colombia, probably 2/3 of the room will be under 30, and another third of them will be over 30. Yeah, man. A few more questions, and then I'm going to jump into a little presentation that I have for you tonight. We're looking at video footage from Lima, Peru, our Lima, Peru tour. Great, beautiful city, right? Edward says, do the Ukraine tours begin and end in Kiev? Some do, some don't. There are a few that begin in Odessa and end in Odessa. What airline do you recommend to get from the U.S. to Ukraine? There are a whole bunch of them, Edward, and none of them are bad. Probably the easiest ones to take, that doesn't always mean the best, right? But the easiest ones to take would be Ukraine International Air out of JFK. You can see their website. Frankly, if you go to Kayak or Expedia or any of those reseller websites and look for flights from America to Ukraine, Ukraine International Air will definitely come up, especially from New York. Or Turkish Airline is another one that goes through Istanbul into Odessa and into Kiev. Lots of flight options for you there. And here we go. You guys are funny. I'm reading more comments than I am questions, right? All right. Chris says, Bud, I'm going on the Barranquilla 10-day tour. Just realized Valentine's Day falls while I am there. Holy cow, what a coincidence, Chris. Should I bring anything? Well, yeah, maybe. Not a bad idea. Or, quite frankly, you can wait until you get there. And if it's appropriate for you to give somebody a Valentine gift, then by all means do so. It's really easy to shop in Barranquilla. You get a great exchange rate. You can definitely ask our staff where to get a great bouquet of flowers, maybe some very nice perfume. You can take perfume with you if you want. Nice cosmetic, nice perfume-related items. I'm talking nice. Nice is the key word. Can definitely do that. Women always love to receive that, right? Otherwise, you can wait till you get there. Don't sweat it. Just ask our staff for recommendations if you need it, and they can definitely help you with that. Michael says, what would have to happen if you wanted to move to China and be able to stay? I have no idea, Michael. I got to be honest with you. Really no idea. The question is, how do you immigrate to China, right? So I'm assuming that question would come after you marry somebody in China and wanted to move there. I really don't know, to be honest with you, but I bet there are all kinds of blogs all over that, and I'll even do a little bit of homework for you if you send me an email and remind me, Michael, bud@loveme.com. I'll see what information I can find out about relocating to China, okay? Or dude, just Google it, my man. It'll come up all over the place, right? I'm sure that would really please a lot of women if they felt that they could meet somebody who had the ability to live in their country for a while before they had to relocate permanently outside of China or whatever country they're from. Again, one of the biggest myths about these women is that they're dying to get out of their country and get into ours. 99% of the time, that's completely not true. They will come to our country. They will come to your country because you're falling in love. You're a couple who is in love. And it makes most sense most of the time that the girl is going to come to the guy's country because that's where he thrives, that's where he's rooted, that's where he works, that's where he earns an income upon which everything depends, right? So most of the time the women, they'll join an agency, maybe not knowing all of the answers to all the questions that are going to come up, but in their heart, they'll basically rationalize, if I fall in love with a guy, I'm not here to just fall in love with anybody, but if I do fall in love with the right person, I would definitely relocate in order for us to be together rather than to lose that love once we create it. But I also know that it's hard for women to do that. Their families are always concerned about them. If they have a child, you're taking a child away from grandparents and aunts and uncles and that kind of thing. And they want the woman to be able to travel back home as often as possible, whatever that is. Once a year, once every 18 months, something like that, just to maintain those family relations and just to be together. If you have the ability to hang out in her country for any period of time, I think most women are going to be really thrilled about that. The information is definitely out there somewhere, my friend. All right. Melvin says, what does Melvin say? Mel, what did you say? Come back to me, bro. Where'd you go? And here we go. Having a difficult time putting together my hot list of ladies to invite to the Peru socials next month. Are the age differences the same as Ukraine? Will the women typically date 15 to 20 years? Mel, thank you for asking. I'll tell you what, I have heard from our staff, our very reliable staff in Peru, that the women are not quite as open to vast age differences as the women are in Ukraine. The good news is that women in their 30s and 40s in Peru are very attractive, aren't they? Go look at their profiles, you'll see what I'm talking about. Extremely attractive women in their 30s and 40s in Peru. So I think most men should be looking at women who are probably 12 to 14, maybe 15 years of age difference max in Peru. It's just a cultural thing, but my staff has brought that up to me several times in Peru, and I kind of believe it. So let's go maybe up to 15 years in age difference in Peru, Mel, and I'm sure that'll work out well for you, right? Yeah, why don't you guys have your seminars in Atlanta? Well, James, we did one in Atlanta, and about 8 guys came to it. Although Atlanta's an absolutely great city, and there's no doubt that we will go ahead and do another one there sometime soon. So please hang in there. Otherwise, I would imagine Jacksonville is on the radar, Memphis, Tennessee, or Nashville probably on the radar for summer tour locations, right? How can I be sure if I take the AFA tour and marry the beautiful lady she doesn't run away once she gets the green card? Do I get a do-over with AFA if that happens? No, you definitely don't. Got to be honest with you. I don't know who's asking that question, but look, here's the thing, my friend. Go fall in love with someone. Look, let's back this up. Why would somebody do that? I mean, think about it. Why in the world would anybody do that? That is the biggest myth on the internet around international dating. Unless you turn out to be a horrible guy, that's a different story. But let's assume that you're a nice guy with a good heart, good old-fashioned family values, and a healthy respect for women in relationships. Do you want to get married? Are you tired of being alone? Those are the questions you need to answer to yourself, accountable to nobody but yourself, my friend, right? Am I lonely? Am I sad? Do I want to do something about it? Am I going to settle for the virtual relationship and pretend that I'm in love with somebody I never meet, never hear, never touch, like so many thousands of guys do, spending thousands of dollars at a time? Or do I really want to go and get a life mate to come into my life so we can share life and love together forever? Do I want to do that? If you decide I want to do that, all right, the next question is, where are you going to do that? How's your backyard looking? How's your community, your city? I mean, if you can't find what you're looking for locally, you know, that's okay. That's not your fault. A lot of people, a lot of men and women would say, I've tried. Believe me, I've tried every dating app. I've tried. I've been on so many dates. I know somebody who told me she's been on, I don't know, a lot of dates, just a lot of first dates that never materialized into second dates because the dating scene was just not that great for her, personally. So, you know, if you can't find what you're looking for locally, that's okay. There's a lot of technology available now to help you look outside of your, you know, your community to meet people. So what if you decide you want to go on a romance tour or a singles cruise, if you will, to other countries to meet other singles from other countries? Why wouldn't you do that? And if you do that and you meet somebody and you go out on dates and you fall in love, I mean, over time, you create a romance that's true and you truly fall in love. All of you who have ever been in love before, which I certainly hope is all of you, you know what it's like to fall in love. You know what it's like to look at somebody and say, we are in love. I do not doubt that this person is in love with me and I'm in love with her. We love each other. It's a good, sweet love. And you know what that feels like. So your mission is to go and do that. Go find somebody. Go out on the dates. Find your common ground. Find your common interests. Let it fuel your chemistry. Find your attraction for each other. Act on that attraction by talking to each other, touching each other, creating romance, ultimately creating an intimate relationship, being closely bonded. And then what do you do with that? Once you've done it and it's a great experience and you're happy and she's happy and it's deeply, deeply gratifying, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? You let it go or you do something about it. And most gentlemen are going to choose to get married. Most couples are going to choose to get married because they don't want to lose the fabulous, fantastic, happy, love, romantic relationship that they've created. So there are processes for you to be able to meet and marry somebody to bring her here. Why would somebody come to America and run away on a green card? Why would somebody do that? And how often do you think that's happened? How many people do you know that's happened to? I bet you don't know anybody that it's happened to, right? Because it rarely happens. Now, there are laws and rules around the green card situation which really make it difficult for somebody to do that. One of the things that I talk about in my seminar is that whole mythical green card escapee scenario. If a woman comes to America, you know, her green card, her first green card is only good for a couple of years, and then it expires. And if she's married to you and her green card expires, she can't get a second one. So why would she live here for a couple of years, bring her child over here if she has a child, to live a couple of years out of status? Why do that? It's not going to go anywhere. It's pointless, especially with this administration, right? You don't want to be, you know, somebody who's immigrating here and breaking the rules. You just don't, right? I mean, you don't under any circumstances. That is a myth, my friend. Go and fall in love. Earn somebody's true love. Do something about it. Bring that girl here and stop worrying about stuff that you're afraid of and just focus on the stuff you know. Guys, this is what trips us up all the time. In international dating, you go out on the internet, you start reading stuff, and there's so much crap. You know, if you're a man and you take the wrong approach and you go out and you try and meet somebody and it doesn't work out, you can do one of two things. You can fix the approach and go and be successful. Maybe it wasn't your fault that you got scammed, or maybe it wasn't your fault entirely that it didn't work out the way you wanted to, but you can fix it and come back and be successful, because there are a lot of lonely people and couples are meeting and getting married, and you can too. Now, if there's something wrong with your approach, you can do one of two things. You can fix your approach, or you can go out on the internet and write all about it, which many, many, many men choose to do. Sour, angry men writing all over the internet about the professional daters, the fake profiles, the this, the that. She'll come here, she'll leave you when she gets a green card. They sell your kidneys on the black market. It's totally dangerous. Don't ever go there. And these are guys who never go anywhere and never do anything and never accomplish any change in their life. All they do is blather all over the internet about how angry and how unhappy they are. It's what I was talking about at the beginning of this webcast. We don't have room for that here. Not here in this realm, right? You can go out there, but there's no room for that here. I'm here for men who are ready to let all that go by the wayside, to go get their girl. They look in the mirror, they see a good man, and they're ready to go find love. I'm here for that specific audience. Stop listening to stuff you're afraid of. They're so poor, they're so desperate. Do you screen the women? How many locals come to the... Seriously, guys, stop listening to stuff you're afraid of and listen to the stuff you know. People meet and fall in love all the time, don't they? And people in other countries meet and fall in love all the time. People in Colombia fall in love all the time, right? Sure they do. People fall in love in America all the time. Why can't somebody from America and somebody from Colombia meet and fall in love? They do. Of course they can. It happens. It happens a lot. You just never hear about it because it's happy news. Who cares? But it happens, and it can happen to you. If you get on the plane, you go meet somebody. All right. Let's switch it up here, man. Let's get into my little presentation. Let's talk about 5 ways to prepare yourself for international romance travel in 2019. Because here's the deal, guys. It's February. I ain't gonna lie. I made really great resolutions in January. I killed them in January. I killed them. I'm so bad at resolutions. So, you know, the Super Bowl's over, and here it is, February, a new chance, right? Got to get right back at them. I got to get back at them. I cannot let my resolutions slide this year. I can't. So I'm focused, right? I am. Hey, I've been dieting for an entire day. Are you kidding me? I'm on a roll. So, look, 2019 is in front of us. You said at the beginning of this year that you wanted 2019 to end differently than 2018, didn't you? You said, I want to find somebody. I want to bring somebody into my life. Man, all these days that I spend alone without someone to talk to, all these days when I do everything alone, I go out to eat alone, I go to the mall alone, I just sit around and do nothing, and I'm all alone, I watch TV, I'm alone. I'm not doing anything with anybody. I want that to change, so I don't do that for another year and another year and another year. We said that this year, didn't we? So how can we prepare ourselves to get on the plane and go get in this video? How can we go to Odessa, Ukraine and meet these beautiful women? Or how can we go to Shenzhen, China, or Cebu in the Philippines, Barranquilla, Colombia, any of the cities that we go to? How can I get on a plane and go and get in front of these women and have romance? You know, a beautiful woman who's looking at me. She looks great. She smells great. She's so interesting. She kisses so sweetly. She's wonderful to be with. How do we make that happen? And let's talk about that, all right? As you're nearing your decision of when and where to go to find love internationally this year, here are some things you need to be thinking about and some things that you can be working on, which will give you a focus forward so you're not focused backward. What are some things that I can do now today so that I'm not sitting around thinking about my last relationship, you know, or my divorce or whatever happened to me, you know, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years ago? Let's talk about it. Guys, make this the year that you get on the plane and go get your girl, right? Make this the year that you do it. You can do it. Make this the year that you do it. And beware of the trap of virtual correspondence. Because if you're writing letters to somebody that you haven't met and you're knee-deep in correspondence, you've been writing for months and months and months. Look, I'm telling you right now, if you're writing to somebody or you're chatting on some site with a girl in another country and she doesn't pressure you to come and meet her, you are likely getting scammed. Women in this process do not want a pen pal. None of the women that are here, nobody who ever put a profile on a dating website wants a pen pal. They don't want someone to write letters into oblivion. They want a man to show up who looks good, smells good, sounds good, is good, who's ready to give them real love, a real shoulder to lean on, real arms to be wrapped into. These women want you, the man, not the myth or the idea that you communicate through correspondence. I'm not trying to be cynical. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just keeping it real with you guys because love is real. Do not settle for the counterfeit trap of virtual correspondence that everybody in this business wants to sell you. Get on the plane and go get your girl. None of the electronic virtual communication stuff that you're doing now amounts to anything, no matter how in love you think you are or how engaged you think you are. If you haven't met the girl, you're none of that. It doesn't matter unless you get on the plane and go and meet somebody, right? Now, the man in the mirror is a pretty tough person to look at, right? Hey, I'm curious, guys. When you look at the man in the mirror, that's some pretty heavy accountability, right? I mean, best friend, worst critic, right? I mean, the man in the mirror is somebody, do you ever just stop and look in the mirror for a little bit and think how far you've come from where you were? Do you ever hear a little voice in your head, like that man in the mirror is talking to you? I do hear that voice in my head. Sometimes it's like Darth Vader, you know? You have disappointed me for the last time. Or something like that. The man in the mirror is tough on you, right? The man in the mirror is the voice of accountability. You look at that man in the mirror and he says, hey, what are we doing, bro? Are we going somewhere? You know, you thinking about dating again? You know, just avoid that conversation, right? But the man in the mirror is very important to you. And your future you is important to you too. At my seminars, I talk about how great it would be if we could walk out of the seminar and a car pulls up and it's you 10 years from now in the car. And he opens the passenger door and he says, get in. And you're taking a ride around the parking lot or wherever around the city. And he says, dude, look, for the next 10 years, please do something with yourself. Don't sit here writing letters. Don't do that to me, okay? I want to look back on 10 years of love and embraces and caresses and kisses. I don't want to look back on 10 years of virtual counterfeit. Because 10 years from now, if that's all you're going to do, you're going to be pretty fed up. I came here today to save us from that. Get out. Wouldn't that be great if we could do that? But we can't. But we can't get on a plane and go create a love story, right? And that's exactly what you should do. All right, anyway. All right. 5 things that you can do. The first one is if you don't have a passport, you're going to need one. You can't leave the country without it. You need a passport, right? I talk to a number of guys every year who don't have a passport. Is your passport current? Because if you're going to travel to another country to meet these beautiful women, when you enter that country, your U.S. passport has to be good for at least the next 6 months from your entry into that country or from your exit from the U.S. So make sure that your passport is good for at least a year. And if it's not, go renew it. Get that out of the way. That's probably most important step number 1. Second thing is, some countries require a visa in order to visit them. So a U.S. passport will get you out of the U.S. and back into the U.S. as a U.S. citizen, right? You can travel to many countries around the world with just a U.S. passport. If you go to Wikipedia, for example, and just enter a search in Wikipedia for American citizen visa requirements, a list of countries which require you to have visas will come up, and a list of countries that don't require you to have a visa will come up. Anyway, in our matrix, the 2 countries that require you to have a visa to enter their country are China and Russia. We don't do tours to China, we don't do tours to Russia. We certainly do tours to China. But we have a great office in St. Petersburg that's been there forever and a great staff. You can go to St. Petersburg, Russia to meet women in St. Pete. And I'll tell you what, check the search engine for women from St. Pete, guys. If you have your mind on going to St. Pete, go, dude. Go. I've been there a bunch of times, and it's an absolutely beautiful and amazing city full of very beautiful women. Many of them are lonely and looking for a guy just like their Ukrainian sisters. China is another country where you need a visa. So it's going to take a month or maybe 6 weeks for you to get a visa to go to that country, and you're going to have to know when you're arriving, when you're leaving, so you probably will need to have purchased your tour or at least made a deposit on your tour by then. But you need a passport to get a visa. So get your passport done, and then know which countries are going to require you a visa. If you're going to China or you want to take an individual Euro Club trip to St. Petersburg, Russia, just make sure that's part of your planning as to having enough time to get the visa to go to those countries, right? Yeah. Budget. Let's talk about budgeting. My dad used to tell me that I needed to budget. He said, budget, if you think about it, is the word bud, get, together. So when I budget, bud, you know, my dad was clever like that. So budget. You got to allocate money for your trip, guys. If you've got a good bank account, plenty of money sitting around, or you have access to cash or whatever, then that's fine. But for a lot of men, you kind of need to work in a budget for your trip, a budget for your singles cruise, whatever you're doing. I think that's very typical for a lot of guys. So in months in advance, you can start working on allocating money that you're going to use for your trip. But a lot of guys will ask, what exactly do I need to bring? I mean, what kind of expendable cash do I need to bring for a romance tour? Here are some things you're going to be spending money on. You know, you're going to need to pay for your airfare to get to and from the cities that you're traveling to, just like you pay for your airfare to get to and from your singles cruise, right? That aside, once you're engaged, once you're on the tour, here are things that you pay for. Your dates. I can't pay for your dates, but you can pay for your dates. The good news is you can date in a lot of places around the world very affordably, almost inexpensively. I don't want to say cheaply, but to tell you the truth, you know, some dates are coffee dates. Some dates are coffee and dessert in a very beautiful cafe. Some dates are bowling and pizza, right? Women in Ukraine, women in China, women in the Philippines, they love to go bowling and eat pizza. They love to go to the movies. You can do those things on dates, absolutely. Some dates are dinner in a nice restaurant. Some dates are going to the ballet and dinner afterward where you spend a little bit more. Some dates are eating sushi in a nice lounge. Right? You'll need to pay for the occasional taxi ride here or there. Uber is alive and well all over the world. It certainly is in Ukraine. And it's very cheap. Flowers and gifts. You're going to give flowers. You're going to give small gifts, right? My man's going to Barranquilla, and it's going to be Valentine's Day, right? Smack dab in the middle of the tour. So he's got to be prepared for that. You're going to buy things. That's natural. Have a little bit of money and plan for that. I think that goes without saying. Cell phone connectivity is kind of interesting. If you call your cell phone company and say, hey, I'm going to this country, I'm going to be there for a week or 10 days, what kind of long distance plan do you have? Most of the time the major carriers have a very good plan to share with you, because major carriers are kind of tired of losing business to the the international SIM card industry. So they've come up with really affordable plans for you. You may just do that. Call your carrier and ask them what kind of international plan they have. But one of the options that you have when you travel internationally is you can buy a phone in the city you're going to very inexpensively. You can quite frequently buy a smartphone with plenty of internet access, plenty of minutes that last you for your whole entire trip, and that might be part of your budget as well. Probably the biggest expenditure for your tour, unless you're going to the Philippines where the women speak English, is going to be interpreters. You're going to need to use an interpreter at least part of the time when you go out on dates with women who don't speak English. And I absolutely suggest that you plan on meeting women who don't speak English. It's not nearly as difficult as you think it is. It can be incredibly fun, very exciting. If she's beautiful and she likes you and she's attracted to you, she'll sit there and smile at you, and the two of you will definitely find a way to talk to each other. But you're going to need an interpreter for those first couple of dates. Some guys try not to do that, and I'm telling you, it's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. The women on a first date, the women on a second date don't want to sit in a restaurant awkwardly trying to communicate with you on a Google app, or some kind of smartphone app that neither you nor they are very familiar with or understand. They just want to have a fluid conversation so the chemistry flows quite naturally and the attraction just builds and builds. So use an interpreter for a couple of dates. $15. Couple hours a day of interpreting. You will meet women who speak English. At our social events all over the world, you'll have an interpreter who is part of your social package to help you meet the women. She's your partner for the evening to help you meet the women at our social events, and that's part of the part of the tour package that you're paying for. But anyway, plan on a little bit of interpreting in your budget. So plan on those things and put some of those aside. Flowers and gifts. My friend was just asking, I know Valentine's Day is coming, should I take something with me? Well, maybe you should. A couple of very nice bottles of perfume would probably come in handy, right? Go to Macy's, buy something, you know what I'm talking about, right? Marc Jacobs, Chloe, something like that, something, pleasant, Clinique. So you take a few nice bottles of perfume or some really great cosmetics with you if you want to do that. You can plan ahead, so shopping for those kinds of things to take with you. Package them very, very securely. Buy a box to put them in so they don't get crushed in shipping. And then you arrive with gifts that are ready to go if you think you're going to need them, and there's probably an excellent chance you're going to. You can start working on your presentation, guys. Start working on your presentation, right? So number 3 of our 5 ways to prepare yourself. What do you mean by your presentation? Your image. Let's talk about it. What's part of your presentation? Your image, your style, your level of fitness. Are you comfortable in your own skin? If you're not, you have time now to do something about it, and that's a good thing to do. How about your familiarity with language, right? If you're going to Latin America, are you going to learn some Spanish? You should learn at least. Look, whenever you travel, go learn 25 phrases. You can do it very, very easily. 25, 30 simple phrases that you can interject into any conversation. In her native language, learn how to say, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. You're very lovely. I really love your eyes. Are you hungry? Would you like to eat? Thank you. Please. Simple stuff like that. Just do it. It's easy. You can do it in so many places. YouTube, on the internet, Duolingo, Memrise. Those are a couple of great sites, right? MEMRISE. So go learn some phrases in her language. You're going to want to say some things that's only going to help her relax and help her to become more willing to practice the English that she knows with you. Your fitness, your style, working on learning the language. What questions do you want to ask on dates? What compliments do you want to give if they're appropriate? Now is a good time to memorize those questions and to even practice them just quietly by yourself. Right here are 5 or 6 questions I definitely want to ask in a day. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your work. What would your friends say about you? What are your dreams? Are there places, I'm from America. Are there places in America or Australia or Canada or the UK that you have always wanted to visit? Where would you like to travel? If you could go anywhere, where would you go? Just ask questions to get someone to light up and talk about the things that she enjoys talking about. What are those questions? Write them down, learn them, memorize them, and practice them. Practice issuing compliments properly, right? You can even practice asking for a date. Some guys are really nervous about that, right? Closing the deal. How do I ask this girl for a date? I hear interpreters tell me all the time, the guys are asking them, how do I ask the girl for a date? What do I say? I don't know. Ask for the date. But look, there's a technique that you can use when it comes to asking for a date, right? And I call it, I'm okay, you're okay, let's be okay together. And that basically means, you know, you like sushi, I really like sushi, would you like to go get sushi sometime? You like the ballet, I've never been to a ballet, would you like to go to the ballet sometime? Find that common ground, we share something together, or we share an interest together, or maybe I'd like you to try Ukrainian food. I'm sure you're an expert in Ukrainian food. What kind of restaurant would you recommend? Would you like to go there? And that's a great way to set up a date when you're communicating with somebody, right? I'm okay, you're okay, let's be okay together. You're probing for acceptance. You know, basically when you're asking for a date, how do you probe for acceptance? I like sushi, you like sushi, don't you? Oh yes, absolutely, I love sushi. Cool, there's your probe for acceptance. You know, I've always wanted to go to the ballet. Do you like the ballet? Oh, I love the ballet. Really? How interesting. Would you like to go to the ballet together? It's very easy just to follow that pattern and to ask for that date when you want to ask for that date. And these are all things that you can work on now in the moment while you're waiting to go and travel to meet your girl. They are all going to come into play sooner or later, guys, so you might as well become an expert of them. All right, style. We could go on and on about style. We could like an entire month's worth of blogs around style, right? But if you just do basic research on the internet, guys, just Google men's style, men's fashion. Go find pictures. Do image searches of men's fashion. Just find things that work for you, right? Picture I showed you in the beginning of our presentation here. Just go back. Find what works for you. Something casual, something relaxed, whatever that is. And go find clothing that makes that style work for you so that you can just, somebody asked me today, should I bring my Western style boots? I'm like, you know what, if you like Western style boots, absolutely, bring them. If you've got that cowboy Western look and that's your comfort zone, women love it, quite frankly. So go for it, absolutely. Whatever your style is, assuming you have some level of style or you're interested in some level of style, go and perfect that. Buy a few things to kind of create that. Fitness. What can we do about fitness? Look, guys, as we travel around the world, I promise you're going to get in front of a lot of very beautiful women if you come on one of our programs. You are going to be in this video. That guy right there with the tie, I met at a seminar. I knew him for 4 hours at a seminar. That is the only time I met him. We met one time, and he went on a tour and went to a social in Odessa, and there he was. He went from seminar to social video, just like that. All of you guys can do that too. You guys watching me right now can be in this video, the very next one, with many of these same women, because we bring hundreds of women compared to the number of men who are on our tours. So much opportunity for you to meet these exact women. All right, so you know right now, as I do, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I want to be as far as fitness goes, not at all. So I know that I can get where I want to be. I even know what I need to do to get where I want to be because I've been where I want to be and I know what I did to get there. What do I got to do? Got to get out, start walking, you know, work myself into running consistently, get back to the gym, work on the diet. Easy things to do. In 90 days, you know, 4 months, I could look incredibly different if I just dedicate myself to those basic principles. You can too. Change the way you eat just a little bit and get out and walk. And if you're walking and tweaking what you eat a little bit, you're going to lose weight. You're going to feel better and look better. Anyway, these are things that you can do. Why are you getting up and exercising at 5 o'clock in the morning before you go to work for a full day? Because in 6 months you're going to be on the plane meeting somebody. You're going to be at a social or in this video and you want to feel good and look your best. You want to get compliments about how good you look, right? I like to get compliments, right? So you got to earn those compliments, guys, right? We can't be lazy. Nobody who goes halfway around the world to create an extraordinary love and romance can be lazy. It doesn't happen for lazy people, right? That's never happened for lazy people. So we got to get up and make it happen. And these are all things that you can do now rather than get up and look back on the pain of a previous relationship that didn't go the way you wanted it to go. So start communicating. Number 4, start communicating, but be smart about it. Start communicating, but don't settle for communication. Start communicating with women in the cities you want to meet, but don't only communicate by email or chat. Write a handful of letters. Find women in the cities that you want to go to. Let's say right now you're thinking there's an excellent chance, Bud, that I'm going to Cebu in the Philippines in August. Or I'm going to go to Shenzhen, China in November. Or I'm going to Thailand in August or April later in the year. I'm going to go to Colombia. I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. All right, great. Start writing to the women. Write to a few of them. And the first thing you say is, hey, I'm coming to your city soon. I'm coming there this year. And when I come there, if we have a lot in common and you like me as much as I like you, I would really like to meet you. And I would make that a priority if you would write me back. You know, here's what I liked about your profile. Here's what I think we have in common. Here are some things I hope are interesting about me. And by the way, I'm very, very serious. I'm very interested in finding somebody for love and romance. I'm definitely not just playing around. So I hope all of that is meaningful. Will you write me back and tell me if we're okay? And if we could meet each other? How do you envision that happening? And just write to her. And if she writes you back and says, boy, I'm so glad you wrote to me. I'm sitting here with nothing but cobwebs going on. Absolutely happy to meet you. Love to get to know you a little bit. You also are interesting, so let's write to each other. Write to each other 5 or 6 letters, not 5 or 6 months worth of letters. After 5 or 6 letters, rather than spend another $500 on correspondence, spend $50 on a good translated phone call. Yes, it's not cheap. It's like $4 a minute for you platinum members. But guys, go talk to the girl for 10 minutes. Hear her personality. Hear how enthusiastic she is to talk to you. Listen to her invite you to come and meet her. Let her flirt with you a little bit. It takes your communication to a whole new level. And it's not just you in your head telling yourself you're in some great relationship where you barely gotten started. You've just advanced it in your head based on fantasy. Write letters, absolutely. Now is a good time to start communicating. You start to learn about women and their culture, the things they like to do, the things around them. You know, holidays, special events, their families, their thoughts, their ideas, all that stuff which is so interesting and attractive and will come up in conversation when you meet them face to face. Absolutely start communicating, but do it sensibly. And make it as rich and meaningful as possible. Write a handful of letters, start talking on the phone, get her excited that you're going to come and meet her. Can you imagine how you're going to feel if you pick up the phone and talk to somebody that you're having a really good correspondence with? Can you imagine how cool that's going to be? Step number 5 of 5 things that you can do right now to prepare yourself for romance tour travel in 2019, and this is a very, very important step. Plan beyond your travel. If you were going on a singles cruise and you were planning on meeting somebody to create a love relationship with, what would happen after the cruise? How would you stay in touch? How would you get together? How would you see each other again? Start to think about that a little bit. This is one of the most important steps for guys who are entertaining the idea of getting on a plane to go and meet women from around the world, because the women from around the world, when you show up, they're going to like how you look, they're going to like how you sound, they're going to be thankful to have met you, but they're going to be constantly looking for, does he know what he's doing, does he have a plan, is he just here for a gentleman's vacation or whatever they call it, and if I open up to this dude and we go forward for as much time as he has here, am I going to hear from him again when he gets back to the States? And there's this feeling of this tug of war, this internal tug of war that women feel because they want to open up to you, but they also want to know what happens if I open up to you. And the men who can speak to that, hey, look, we spend time together now. I'll be back in 90 days. I'll be back in April. I'll be back in August. I'll book the tickets before I leave, or I'll book them as soon as I get back. And we'll plan that trip, and we'll plan some things together. And then you follow up on those things. It's so important to the women because it shows that you're a man of your word, a man of commitment. You're not fooling around. You are serious. You're able to do the things you say you're going to do. All of those things are critically important to a woman who's considering leaving everything behind to come to America, Canada, Australia, wherever you're from, my friend, to put her life in your hands completely while the two of you rebuild the future together or build a future together. So it's important for you to be able to know what your next step will be. So plan on success. Plan on getting on the plane, going and meeting somebody, falling in love, having a great opportunity to create that relationship, and know what your next step will be so that as soon as you get back, even before you leave, you can speak to it. Hey, I'll see you in November. I'll see you 3 months from now. What do you want to do? Great. Let's book the airfare. Let's book the hotel. Whatever. Plan those things. Plan them as detailed as possible and follow up on them. This is where men succeed. I have men right now who are in Ukraine who are on my November Ukraine tour. They met women. They're in Ukraine following up with the women that they've met. You know, I've got 1 or 2 that are there, 1 or 2 that will be there soon, 1 or 2 that have been there and have come back from my group of 30 guys that I had in November. And it's great. I mean, that's how you do it, right? That's how you go and you further the relationship and you create this great romance. And they are having romance. They're having great romance. They're having the kind of romance you dream of having. And it's because they created the opportunity and they followed up on the opportunity. So again, guys, those are 5 things that you can do that are critically important. We're not going to wake up this year and look back, right? Let's do that. Let's promise each other ourselves right now that we're not going to just wake up and look back. How much time have you spent alone and not in a relationship? How long has it been since you were in your last relationship and happy? And what have you done since then? I know what you've done. Everybody knows what you've done because everybody does it, my friend. We look back. So maybe 2019 can be a year where we really look ahead with very, very clear vision of who we're going to meet, the kind of romance we're going to have. I like to dream about that. I like to dream about, man, this is the kind of romance that I want in the future. This is what I want to be in my relationship in the future. These elements, these experiences, these things. I do it all the time. It's it's a great thing. Just visualize. This is the kind of dates I want to go on. These are the kind of romantic experiences that I want to have. So visualize those things. I mean, you can start to acquire things, right? And you can buy massage candles, right? You can buy perfume. You can make a song list for, massage and a romantic dinner. You can learn how to perfect a couple of recipes so that when you cook for somebody, you can completely nail it and not flub it, right? Think about that, right? There are so many things that you can do right now to clear your vision forward. I'm going to meet this person. What you're doing right now is a big part of it, right? So let's have vision and let's look forward and let's do these 5 things. Get the passport and the visa ready. Start budgeting. Start working on your image. These are very important, right? Just you can improve your image. You want to improve your image. Get out, walk, be in shape. If you're already in shape, good for you. Work on your style. If you've already got style going on, good. Start asking yourself, what questions do I want to ask on a date? Start perfecting the way you're going to ask for a date and issue compliments that are appropriate. Practice those things. You've got time to do it. Now's a really, really good time to do it. Plan beyond your tour. Very, very important. Know what your next step is going to be. If I meet a girl on that April tour, I'm going back in August. I'm going to have a budget ready. I'm going to be able to buy that ticket. If I meet that girl, she's going to see that I clearly mean what I'm saying because I'm going to buy that ticket before I leave. Start communicating with girls, but don't just write letters and chat. Get on the phone and talk to this girl. Skype with her if you can do that face-to-face, if you have a format that allows you to do it. All of those are really, really great ways to spend your 2019, and all of those will lead you forward to her. Yeah, man. All right, I hope that was helpful, guys. Let's get back to some of your questions. We have a little bit of time left, so let's answer your questions on international dating. Green box right above me. Let me try and get your questions in. Jay says, are the women educated and mature enough for a relationship with a foreigner? If they're over the age of 25, 26, 28, I would say that they most likely are, Jay. If they're younger than that, who knows? James says, how much is being divorced with 2 small children a deterrent for the women on your site? I would say it's virtually no deterrent at all. Now, we got 60,000 women on our website, James, so it's entirely possible. There are a few for whom that might not be right, but dude, I'm telling you, and you can just take my word for it, it's not a deterrent at all. Not at all. I meet so many clients who are in a very, very similar situation, and if they're good guys with good hearts, a sense of humor, you're emotionally balanced, you're ready to really love somebody, no deterrent at all, bro. Not at all. Matt says, I'm very serious about meeting a Ukrainian woman to court, but I'm weary about doing it in a short amount of time. What do you think about a guy living in Ukraine to really get to know a girl? I think that's great. I think that's a luxury most guys can't afford. If you can do it, it's absolutely spectacular. I think that would be terrific, and any girl would welcome that. Jake says, what are the biggest challenges after she's arrived and settled in? It's interesting, Jake, your biggest challenge, most guys wouldn't think of this. Your biggest challenge when you bring a girl here on a fiancé visa is going to be boredom. So it's going to take a little bit of time before she's able to work. You are probably going to go to work and come home every day, and she'll be waiting. She has a child to care for, a child who's in school, meals to cook, that sort of thing. That'll definitely help her a lot. But it's challenging for women when they first come here if they can't work right away. She'll be able to work eventually, but you may need to find a way to just kind of keep her occupied and keep her busy a little bit. And again, if she has a child, that's certainly going to help her a lot. If you have friends, who have wives from her neck of the woods. Some of your tour partners, for example, may also be having fiancés from your tour and therefore from her city. Can you establish an online network so that you can all communicate with each other very, very easily? The reality is you'll be two people who are falling in love, and wanting to spend your future together. So whatever comes up, you'll get through. You just have to be compassionate, understanding the fact that you're asking and anticipating what her needs might be when she comes here. Very, very important. She's going to want to have good communication with her family back home. Girls in Ukraine, guys, girls in Russia, they talk to their mom every day, man, every day. It's very, very, very important to them, very close to their mothers. So communication is really, really important as well. Mike says, when a guy submits a list of women to invite to the tour they plan to attend, do these women typically show up? I think about half of them do, Mike. I think about half of them do. Some will, some won't, some can, some can't. And some of it has to do with how realistic the guy's list is to begin with. If you're in your 60s and 70s and you're inviting women under 25, it may be less. But in reality, it's about half the women on everybody's list will be able to show up. Sometimes more, sometimes less. There are a few variables there. But here's the thing. You make your list of women that you would like to meet and give it to us. We will invite those women to the social events for you so that when you go on the tour, you can meet them at the social parties. If for some reason some women can't, they've got to work, they can't get a sitter, it's not convenient, they don't want to do the social, whatever it is, we'll still call them up and ask them if they'd like to meet you individually. We'd like to meet you for a coffee date or a dinner date or something like that. And in many cases, we can get more women from your list who you didn't meet at the social to still meet you that way. David says, looking forward to your seminar in LA. I went to a seminar a few years ago by John and his wife, and it was very informative. And it is. John and Tanya do a great seminar. The last time I watched John do a seminar was here in Phoenix, and I told him afterward I was proud of him and that I really admired the seminar. I really did. But John and I do an entirely different seminar. Isn't that interesting? Entirely different. John and I will approach international dating from two entirely different perspectives. And I'm really glad that John lets me do that. I remember in the beginning, 8 years ago when I started doing seminars, we would go over a script and an outline, and there were very specific things that he wanted me to talk about. But it just kind of took on, we're here for similar purposes, but from different ways of communicating and different experiences and different inspirations. I'm just glad that I can I'm glad that I can present a seminar that's going to be completely meaningful from my experience. So those of you who have seen, one of mine, you should go to John's. And those of you who have seen one of John's, you should go to mine and just get as much information as you can from as many different angles, and then decide to get on the plane and go meet somebody. A few more questions, guys. How's the food in Ukraine? Dude. I need a diet every time I come back from a tour. Food's great. Food is absolutely amazing. What city or region in Ukraine are the ladies more suitable for living in Metro Detroit? Honestly, any. Rick, believe me, don't overthink that for a second. Any, dude. Any. Ukraine is a country about the size of Texas. There are big cities. There are big cities with, areas that are glamorous and beautiful. There are big cities with areas that are like a concrete jungle that are nothing glamorous at all. There are millions of people that live in all of the above. Don't overthink it. Just go get your girl. If you're the good guy and she loves you and you love her, she'll be happy where you are as long as it's stable and safe. Greg and Glenda, how cute. What a cute couple. All right, here we go. One or two more questions, guys. What's the difference between Valentine's Day and Women's Day, March 8th, to the girls on your site? Tell you what, Bob, great question. Guys, look. Around the world, all over the world, for some reason, not in America. That is amazing, but it's going to change. International Women's Day is highly, highly celebrated, and that is in the Philippines, it's in China, it's in Latin America, it's definitely in Ukraine and Russia. March 8th is International Women's Day. It is every bit as important as Valentine's Day. It's every bit as important as Mother's Day is to a mother, or a girl's birthday is to her. And if you've got a girl on March 8th, don't use the fact that you're sitting in America to overlook it. It's a huge, huge day for her. Be sure to send her flowers. Be sure to communicate your appreciation for her. She'll be looking for it, hoping for it, and expecting it, and happy to have it, right? And there are many, many ways that you can do that. We have a fabulous gift and flower delivery service that you can get to. Got a girl's profile? Look at that profile, guys. The box is to the right. Write me now, call me now, send me flowers. Click the box and order flowers. And by the way, March 8th is so huge. If you're going to send the girl flowers, you probably want to order them a week and a half in advance so we don't forget. I didn't mean to turn your question into a pitch for flower and gift delivery, so forgive me. But the answer is Valentine's Day and March 8th are both equally important. to the girls. John says Columbia celebrates Valentine's Day. I just missed that. Where is it? Columbia celebrates Valentine's Day at a different time. I'm sorry, did you say the 20th? That could be, but I'm pretty sure they know that our Valentine's Day is the 14th of February. All right. Guys, we got more questions. I'll pick up some of your questions next week. I'll be very, very happy to do that. I appreciate you so much. I hope this was useful information for you tonight. We will have another live webcast 1 week from tonight, so be sure to check that out. And if you have questions in the meantime, bud@loveme.com. I got a free live international dating seminar in Salt Lake City. Guys, check your airfare. If there's cheap airfare, come out to the seminar. I mean, come out, go to the airfare. I'm right by the airport. I bet a lot of you could get cheap airfare to Salt Lake City or to LAX on the 16th, both from 11 to 3, both on Saturday, this coming Saturday and the following Saturday. Just come out and come to the seminar and go home. I guarantee you, you'll enjoy this seminar immensely. It's like 100 of these webcasts condensed into one 4-hour presentation, highly interactive, great opportunity to ask your questions. We'll break down a ton of video. If you're thinking of traveling with us, we have seminar discounts that we never give outside of the seminar. So I'll save you big money if you decide you want to travel with us. I'll make it very, very worth your while. Come to one of our seminars, all right? But you got to RSVP, guys, so we have enough seating and food for everybody. bud@loveme.com, all right? For this Saturday in Salt Lake City, a week from Saturday in LAX in Los Angeles. I'll be out by LAX in Hawthorne. All right, guys, thank you for the time tonight, for your questions. Appreciate them very much. We'll answer more of your questions next week. Have a great week in the meantime. Have a good night. Kirk behind the scenes, thank you for everything you do. See ya.